Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at me spending my money very wisely here. So you're going to see I built the Tornadus with the new move Bleakwind Storm for the Master League, and let's take a look at the best battles I had with this Pokemon throughout the day. Did 5 sets with this Pokemon because otherwise I think we didn't really have a lot of fun to watch this battle. So yeah, let's take a look at this Pokemon here. And if you wonder why did I do this just for content, yeah, most likely, but also I kind of like to have like all of those legendary Pokemon built, and so I kind of thought maybe I just built this one just for fun, and so we did this here. Also, we're going to have here a team of the Groudon as well as the Lugia. It's most likely not ideal. My idea was, of course, you have a lead that's going to be good against steel types, you have a Say-Stop that's decent that's to still get out something like a Dialga with the Lugia, and then you're going to have the closer of Tornadus, which might have some kind of play. Turns out it was definitely not a lot of fun to play, but it's still going to work out sometimes at least. So we're going to take a look at here the best builds that I had with this Pokemon, and just stay tuned on some very crazy games as well. We're going to have here the Precious Blade hitting against the Mewtwo. First game already going to be a little bit tricky here, but we're still going to have some chance as the opponent is going to go into their Dragonite again, and they're staying in for a little bit, which I definitely liked quite a bit, as you're going to see as well. The opponent is going to still go for a charge move and even for another one, which I'm totally okay with. And you see as well that the opponent is not going to swap out here, so this kind of means they are very likely very weak against Lugia. And we're going to find out immediately as we can hit the Sky Attack, and yes, they're going to have the Groudon in the back, which is amazing. We have some energy on our own Groudon, we still have enough health here to survive at least 2 fire punches from the opponent, and so the opponent decides to forfeit. Next opponent coming through here, we're going to have the Rayquaza in the lead, which you're going to be able to counter with our Tornadus. Tornadus is swapping in here because Tornadus is the worst matchup basically there. Like, for example, our Lugia is just a little bit better against the Rayquaza. And we're going to see here as well that the opponent went for their charge move, and we can just now go for the Bleakwind Storm and get the debuff onto the opponent's Metagross. This does not really matter too much because our play is to go just straight basically for the Precious Blade here. This allows us basically to knock them out before they can go for a charge move, and so this is going to be the best play that we can go for. We're gonna see that the opponent is waiting out here, which is actually kind of cool because now I can swap out into my Lugia, and the Rayquaza is going to be forced to stay in here for a little bit. They're mostly going to go for the Breaking Swipe, which I'm going to let go through as well. If they go for Ancient Power, this would be fine as well, but they decide to go for the Breaking Swipe, which does not get the debuff, but they decide to swap out into the Rhyperior. And the cool thing here is that they are Shadow, because the Fast Move is not gonna do any damage against me, but I'm gonna do more damage against the opponent, and this is very important as they're gonna go for the Breaking Swipe bait here, which is fine. They're gonna get the attack drop, but I can go for the Arrow Blast now after I went for the bait before. This Arrow Blast is coming through and gonna get a ton of damage onto the opponent. I can swap into my Groudon, and I don't even have to shield anything here. They're gonna go for the Surf, which is okay for me. I can just let the next move go through as well, because now there are Energy Dry onto the Rhyperior, and I will be able to just farm everything down with my Lugia, winning us this game here, which is kind of funny, and we can move on into the next one. Next opponent coming through, we're going to have a great lead of the Heatran against our Groudon. This is going to be amazing, especially as the opponent stops out into the Xerneas now, where we can go for the Precious Blade. Surprisingly though, is that the opponent went for close combat immediately, and I was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. I can just go for the Precious Blade. This is now going to knock you out, which would have not been the case before, and we can say goodbye to you. But I still have to definitely keep my Groudon healthy, as it's going to be my only answer for the Heatran, and they're going to have their own Lugia, which is going to be a little bit of a trickier one, but let's see what we can do here. We can still go for the Sky Attack against the opponent, which is going to be able to get some damage onto them, which is all kind of what I needed here, because I know that I'm mostly going to farm down the Heatran eventually, or like get at least some damage onto them here. They're very likely going to run the move Stone Edge, which you're going to see here as well coming through. We're going to do a ton of damage, but at least I can still reach my Arrow Blast, and it's fairly likely that they're going to let this move go through, which they do, and so we're going to be able to get some damage onto them while they can farm me down. So now it's down to our Groudon to win this game. I can still go for one more charge move, which the opponent actually also lets go through, which I did not expect, and with this we can knock out the final Pokemon, the second to last Pokemon of the opponent, and so I can swap out into my Tornadus, and this is where Tornadus might come in clutch. I thought this is most likely just the Sky Attack. I think that would have been at the Arrow Blast, but yeah, it was just the Sky Attack, and so we can go for the Bleakwind Storm, and with this we're going to be able to get the attack drop onto the opponent, and that's going to be very important, as you're going to see now. We're going to let this next move go through. It's going to be as a Sky Attack again. as they will be able to farm me down afterwards. But we get at least 2 fast moves in here, which is kind of important, as we now see that we have to basically go for 3 fire punches in order to knock out the opponent here, as they're still having a shield left. And I let the first move go through, expecting that they would go for the sky attack first, and so I can't just go for the fire punch, which is going to do some decent damage, but we have to hope that we can still reach 2 more. It's going to be insanely close. Can we still survive 1 more fast move from the opponent? We can, thanks to the Bleakwind Storm debuff. We can still reach the fire punch and win this game with a 1 HP and a shield. Next opponent, we're going to have the Zekrom against us. What you can see as well is we can go ahead and go for the Precious Blade if I wanted to, but I decided to be a little bit of an idiot and go for the bait. And this never mind, it actually worked out. There were definitely 2 matchups against Broguiere where I also went for the Fire Punch and they just let the move go through, which I was like, that's great, like I could have just went for the Precious Blade and I would have knocked you out, but it didn't. And so at least here we're going to be able to get 2 shields, but yeah, they're going to be 2 games, which most likely not going to be in this video because I think I did not like do anything great in this. Yeah, also still going to be losses, by the way, in the video, which are going to be a little bit more of closer games, because there were a lot of games, which I have to say here, of course, honestly as well, where it was just, there was nothing I can do then. Like, there was nothing that I can do, especially against Pokemon like the Ho-Oh. It is very tricky to deal with because our Sazop is okay, our lead is horrific, and Tornadus, where I can talk a little bit more of a real talk about it, is just horrible. Like, this Pokemon, it is a miracle that we actually won the games that we won in general here, I feel like. But like, this Pokemon itself is just so bad. It is just so sad to see. I was really like looking forward to it, trying to get like good games with it in. But it was just so sluggish, man. Like, it is not having the stats at all. Like, it does basically barely do any damage. But here, we actually were able to still get the boost, which was kind of funny. And I think I maybe misplayed this game. We see the Sacred Fire coming through. We don't get the debuff, which is even more important. And so we can still go for the Sky Attack. But I thought that maybe I can just go for a swap afterwards. But I think they would have been in range for the fast move of Gust. But, like, I just misplayed, swapped out. And it was a huge mistake by me. Next opponent, we're going to have the Reshiram in the lead, which is okay for us again. Yeah, usually they do decide to shield, because they know that they're going to get the shield back anyway. So, like, for them, it's not really a risky play to do anything. So, yeah, I'm going to be able to use a shield here onto the Fusion Flare that is coming through and not doing any damage, as we can still try to go for our Precipice plate here against the opponent, which is going to get the knockout if they let this move go through. They do not. And I honestly decide to swap out of here. I'm not sure if this is going to be the right call or not, but this will allow me to now take a Stone Edge, a move that I actually did not know that the Reshiram would learn Stone Edge against our Lugia, which is kind of fine. We're gonna get out the Xerneas. They should not be able to knock me out here unless they're running Thunder, and so the Moonblast is not going to be enough there. I can still go for the Aeroblast, and with this I'm going to do around like 60 or 70% damage against the opponent, putting them just into the red health range here. But they're actually still going to go for a charge move, which is completely unnecessary. They did not have to do this. And what is even more interesting is that they go straight for another one here, which means it's very likely that this is going to be the close combat, and it was the close combat, so I can just go for the full farm down. We're gonna see the Reshiram coming back in. I can swap out here, and we're gonna get out the Kyogre. And again, this can still work out for us. I'm not too sure about it, but I'm fairly certain this is not range for Bleakwind Storm yet, which is kinda sad to see. But we will find out now after one more fast move. Maybe it is now enough to knock them out. It is, and can we still reach another Bleakwind Storm? We can't. It is what it is. Like, this Pokemon is very squishy. It does not really do too much damage either. It's so weird because, like, if you ever played the main series games, like Tornadus, therian, it's like, not currently or whatever, but like, it was definitely one of the best Pokemon that you can play because of its bulk, because of its ability as well, which would have been really cool for Pokemon Go if this Pokemon had its ability, which is a regenerator, which allows basically every time you swap out to regenerate 33% of its health, which is kind of, would be actually cool to have like that in Pokemon Go. Let me know in the comment section what kind of ability you would like to see the most in like Pokemon Go. I feel like there would be quite a few that would be kind of cool. For example, also Intimidate or whatever, just getting immediately attack drop basically as soon as you start a battle would be kind of overpowered, because for example Lando's therian would have Intimidate, which would be really strong then as well, because you basically always start with like advantage in terms of like damage that the opponent does against you, where like it does way less. But yeah, I don't know, there would be a few cool abilities. Drought for like Groudon getting a little bit more damage onto something like fire type moves, like the Fire Punch would be funny. or I don't know, like Dialga has not really the best abilities for getting into PvP, I feel like, but I don't know, would be kind of cool. Let me know in the comment section what ability you would like to see in Pokemon Go, if there's ever going to be a thing, very unlikely. But at least here we're going to see what Tornadus actually is going to be best at, just taking some random moves and trying to get to its own charge move and then just basically getting completely sacrificed because it's literally nothing else here. But it doesn't matter because our Groudon is going to be able to go for the Pressure's Blade and wins this game. There's nothing really that the opponent can do here. They're gonna go for the CMP type, of course, but yeah, like it is still gonna come through and it's gonna easily one-shot the opponent's Mewtwo, so we can move on to the next game. Next opponent coming through, we're going to have a Rhyperior in the lead. It might be even the one where I also go for the bait and didn't work out. Also, we're going to change here to some nice winter weather in the background, which of course is going to be great. It's still snowing here as well, and yeah, this was, for example, what I mean. This happened before as well. And usually I go still for the Pressure's Blade afterwards, and of course then they're always going to use a shield, which is kind of funny, but it is what it is. So actually the matchup is not really as great for us either. I feel like Rhyperior is such a strong Pokemon in the current meta. I feel like it got a huge buff with the Mud Step buff as well, because you're just gonna get to the energy, like to the moves way faster, which is kind of wild. And so definitely a Pokemon that is still worth it to use. You're gonna see that we can catch the Breaking Swipe. But of course, they still have access to its own signature move of a Rock Wrecker, which I feel like would be also cool on other Pokemon, because other Pokemon also learn Rock Wrecker, so it would be kind of nice to see this move being a little bit more distributed. But here we're going to see the Florges coming in, a Pokemon that's currently spawning during, or like mostly not anymore when the, oh no, actually also still while this video is on, this Pokemon is still spawning in the wild. Definitely an interesting Pokemon for the Master League. But is it too great? I don't think so. I feel like there are other Pokemon that are a little bit better, but it's at least a little bit faster with Fairy Wind in terms of like what Fairy types can really do here. Disarming Voice still hits hard, Moonblast hits hard. It just very, like, if you had like a little bit of a coverage move on Florges, I would like it. Like, I don't know, I didn't think it learns Mystical Fire, but like something similar to that would be really cool. And then you still have Moonblast, which would be really nice. But here we're gonna get out the Xerneas, and we can actually get some damage onto them. And even better, we can use a shield here onto the opponent. And we can now shield up the Moonblast as the opponent stops into the Rhyperior. I will be able to actually go for a funny move here. I can just go for the Focus Blast, and finally it is worth it that we used 100k Stardust to get the secondary charge move here, as we're gonna swap out now into our Lugia, get off the move, get off the Sky Attack, which is going to be able to get the final shield and the opponent at this point of time. I don't know, I think they actually lag, because if you're gonna take a look at this one now, look at how the Xerneas is displayed now. It still has a shield, but goes down through the shield. I have never seen it before. But let's take a look at the final battle for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a lot of effort for me to get all the XL candy and use all of the Stardust for this Pokemon. But later on today, we're going to see as well the new Thunderous with the new move Wild Bolt Storm. Mostly going to showcase it first in the Ultra League and later on in the Master League tomorrow, then basically in the Master League, because basically at 10 AM I think the Pokemon get the new move in their own, like, as an Elite tier move. And so I kind of want to wait until then, because I have some decent ones and I don't really want to waste all my XL candies on a bad Pokemon. So definitely going to see a fully XL variant of this Pokemon very soon on my channel as well for the Master League, so definitely stay tuned for that. Here we're going to see the Rock Wrecker coming through. We can just use a shield, and then comes now the Dialga, where we can just go for the own Sky Attack. I try to just hope that I get like maybe a shield or whatever. No, I do not. The opponent actually noticed that I need one more fast move, which was very smart by them. So this is going to be a very difficult game to actually still win, and I doubt that we're going to be able to win this, but we can still try our best, as we can still here go for the Bleakwind Storm against the opponent. They can still go for the Moonblast, which does not knock me out luckily, but honestly, like, Tornadus has nothing going for it. It's just literally a burp in the sky there, not doing anything. It's just trying its best, but like, it doesn't really do damage. It doesn't really do anything there. It is just a slow Pokemon and a very squishy Pokemon at the same time, which is not really the best combination, I would say. Here, I actually still maybe had a chance of winning this game. I'm not too sure about it, because I went for the Fire Punch on the CMP type, hoping to get the shield. I did not get the shield, and I still survived this move. And if I did not go for the charge move there and just waited them out, I would have been able to get to the moves here a little bit earlier. Of course, the Dialga does more damage than, for example, the Xerneas, and I might have been able to still outspeed the Xerneas later on and do a little bit more damage with my own fast move. So I feel like this was a winnable game, but I kind of screwed it up. But yeah, this is going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you later on for the showcase for the Thunderous. So see you then. Bye-bye.